So there's a bill being rushed through in Tennessee right now that nowhere near enough people are talking about, because when you scratch beneath the surface, you see just how much damage it can do to the Tennessee economy at exactly the wrong time. So last month, SB 2040 was introduced, the Freedom, Access and Integrity in Registered Pharmacy, or FAIR RX Act, except there's nothing fair about what these bills would do to the state's economic future. Instead of strengthening our healthcare system, they pile on sweeping new licensing, ownership, and operational restrictions that would make it nearly impossible for many existing pharmacies and pharmacy-related businesses to keep operating in Tennessee, forcing them to close or sell under fire sale conditions. When you force hundreds of pharmacies to close or sell under pressure, you're not just swapping out logos on a storefront, you're detonating local economies. Jobs gone, payrolls gone, commercial leases broken, and local tax revenue evaporating. In small towns, that one pharmacy might also be an anchor tenant or a major employer, and when it dies, the whole local ecosystem takes a hit. And Tennesseans have already seen what happens when big pharmacy footprints collapse. Look at Rite Aid. When those stores closed, there wasn't exactly a stampede of buyers desperate to pick them up. A lot of those locations just went dark. No white knight, no big investor cavalry, just empty buildings and fewer options. And that is the real-world market response. SB 2040 would only recreate that train wreck across the state, except this time, it's not one company failing, it's the government pulling the plug. We're hearing more and more these days about stagflation, about the risk of recession, about slowing growth and rising costs for families and businesses. And during times like these, investors do not go on a shopping spree. Private equity doesn't say, you know what sounds like fun, buying distressed pharmacies in the middle of an economic downturn. No, they sit on their hands and they wait. So when supporters of these bills wave their hands and say, oh, don't worry, the market will sort it out, what they really mean is we haven't thought this through and we're gambling with Tennessee jobs, tax revenue, and access to care in the process. And here's the tell that even legislators know how bad this is, all the carve-outs. The fact that lawmakers are scrambling to exempt certain groups, like they recently did for veterans, is basically an admission that the policy is so harsh and so disruptive that entire communities and constituencies have to be protected from its consequences. That's not what good policy looks like. Every carve-out is a flashing red light that says, yeah, we know this is going to hurt people, we're just trying to decide who gets hurt. These are not just hypotheticals either. Arkansas passed similar legislation last year, and an economist from the University of Little Rock found that Arkansas faces approximately $285 million in added annual costs and between 200 and 700 avoidable hospitalizations per year as a result. And Tennessee has more than double the population of Arkansas. There are also many in the state that are raising a red flag about how these closures will essentially shut down the distribution network of President Trump's signature drug price reduction policy, Trump RX. If we close all these pharmacies in the state, where will people get the discounted drugs that the program was delivering? This bill isn't about protecting patients or fixing healthcare. It's about gambling with Tennessee's economic stability at the exact moment we can least afford it. Tennesseans should be asking a simple question. Why rush through legislation that risks uprooting businesses, fewer jobs, and less investment in our communities instead of focusing on keeping access available and the economy stable?